All right, we're live. But yeah, no, Joseph and I are just chatting about Assassin's Creed, and it got me in the mood. So now we're gonna play Assassin's Creed and talk about it. But yeah, like I would be willing. What was just said is, people perhaps think that Desmond is only liked because of the rose-tinted goggles, because games got much worse after Ezio was killed, and so therefore people equate Ezio to being a better character than he is. Desmond, yeah. I could understand that line of argumentation, and I could even somewhat agree. Like, if we got a way better character after Desmond, and the games were much worse, I could see that argument. But like, it's not even necessarily that. Even if the argument is like, well, Desmond's not that great, in terms of Assassin's Creed standards, like, what is Lydia a better character than Desmond? You know, like who do we get in exchange?
It just reminds me of like shows that try to be brave, where they kill off the main character, like Dexter. We talked about The Walking Dead. There's so many shows that try to do that kind of thing, and then follow up later after that, and it's really maybe even just the decision itself of killing off that character is already like really really bad.
Well, yeah, it depends on the character, because there are times where I'm not against the concept, but there are times where when you pitch
Like
that,
Breaking Bad had a really cool ending.
yeah,
I was just thinking about that.
yeah, and I think not killing Jesse services the story. Jesse was supposed to die at a certain point, but they decided not to kill him because they thought it would service the story better, and like that's my whole thing. I am not against basically any idea. It's always the execution. So my thing is not that you killed Desmond. I could even see Desmond's sacrifice being very worthy and noble one. My problem is what you do after. You have the little issues, like they just abandoned Desmond's body to be used as a science project for fucking Abstergo. But maybe they were worried about the radiation, so fine. Okay. Then you just have the whole like well, I almost don't want to spoil it now that we're on stream, but then we have all the yeah, but it's essentially you killed Desmond. Fine, I can understand that if you got a good story. What did you do with that? Now that you've got Desmond out of the way, did you make a really cool and interesting story that wasn't really possible with Desmond in the way? Because to everyone else, I feel like everyone else felt like you actually did the opposite, where you had so much story set up with Desmond getting the bleeding effect and slowly becoming a better and better assassin.
I've seen that weird narrative go around that people think Desmond is bland, which I can see why you maybe think he's bland, because he doesn't have anything special going for him, but I think that's also part of the point that they go for.
Well, he's meant to be a fish out of water, yeah.
Yeah, and secondly, that he doesn't have any development, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, that's just not true.
I was looking through a bunch. I know Reddit is like a small minority of like the grand scheme of things. I'm sure there's a bunch of, but they're very vocal, and I guess when you want to look up an opinion, it's like the first thing that comes up. And I see a lot of that where people call him bland and that he doesn't develop, and I think that's so crazy.
Well, I just don't even think that's true. You have a Desmond from AC1 that left his family, abandoned them all, and went to be a bartender. Desmond in AC3 breaks into Abstergo basically by himself to rescue his father. Right. Like that is character developed. I don't that is, he goes from being a hostage to being someone who's just kidnapped and used to Abstergo's ends, basically a victim, to the hero. He goes, a guy who, the same people that basically were able to stuff him into a van, he is now 1v fucking 500ing, just going in, killing everybody, including a former assassin that his own father thought was a better assassin than him, and was able to beat him. And yeah, through the bleeding effect, but also that's something that Desmond lived and experienced. It is something that we're going to credit him with. Through the skills Desmond picked up with the technology and training he had available, he did that. And he chose to do it. He didn't have to go save his dad. In fact, everyone was telling him, if your dad was calling the shots, he would tell you not to rescue him. In fact, the first thing his dad says when he shows up to rescue him is, "Why the hell are you here?"
Yeah. I also think people kind of disingenuously discount Desmond because his parts come up, his story comes up in, not the most flashy way, and it's overlapping with the game that you could be playing of Ezio and Altair, and a lot of people just dislike that. Which
yeah, like I get the people that go like, "Shut up, Desmond! I want to get back to my cool Ezio guy."
Yeah, I just think that's really disingenuous to the narrative itself, which
Well, yeah, because the whole point. Oh God, I'm gonna definitely die here. The whole point should be is that Desmond is also experiencing what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And the coolest moments in the series are when Ezio, remember the moment when Ezio addresses Desmond directly?
Yeah.
When he retires as an assassin.
Yeah, that was insane. That gave that chills.
Yeah, that gave, everyone got chills from that. Oh God, yeah, I'm definitely dying here.
Yeah, I do think. I feel like. As much as I love the third one, because I think the gameplay is some of the best in the third one, besides the boat gameplay, but I think combat-wise...
Oh yeah, combat's super fun.
Yeah, but I do also think the third game did a bit of... And maybe you could correct me on this, but I feel like the third game did a bit of character assassination with Desmond.
Depends on what you're talking about, I guess. I don't want to just say that automatically.
He regressed to being more whiny than he was in the first two games.
Well, I guess the arguments he had with his dad were certainly, could lead you to think that, but my defense would be him and his dad still haven't really had it out yet, I guess you could say. And so where I could understand someone going well, he's a lot more whiny in AC3. This isn't really, he's not whiny at Sean and Rebecca. He's actually pretty cool with them. It's more or less he's whiny with his dad, and he's big Madge at his dad. Mm-hmm. And so they're having their whole conflict that they've had their whole fucking life. And what sucks is we don't get that voicemail. That one thing that we saw in AC4 that gave us so much insight into their whole relationship. The thing is that voicemail takes place in AC3, when that is canonically happening, because we hear events in AC3 happening for that interrupt him and stuff. So that's one of those things where it's oh, why did you do that?
It is kind of. It also kind of makes me. I get very quizzical. I'm puzzled at the decision that Assassin's Creed 3 wasn't the first step into modern Assassin's Creed, right? Why wasn't that the story of Desmond being an assassin? You know what I'm saying? Why couldn't the next game from Revelations be Desmond as the modern assassin?
Well, and I think that they were obviously trying to set that up. I mean, you had the bleeding effect, slowly training him and making him better and better. But you literally have the whole thing of in AC3, the gameplay is broken up by IRL sections of you. Hold on. But yeah, IRL sections of you breaking into a stadium or whatever and doing your assassin stuff, using your skills that you learned from Connor and Ezio. Mm-hmm. So, that's the thing. I think to say, well, you shouldn't have expected a game where Desmond was the main character is almost gaslight the people who played AC or the AC games. What do you mean we weren't supposed to expect that? That's what you... What was the bleeding effect for then?
Yeah, that was the whole point of Ezio, or not Ezio.
Yeah, the whole point of him going through Ezio's life was to train.
Yeah, it's weird that we didn't see. Well, we saw it kinda because he walks into Abstergo.
Oh my god!
Fucks up a bunch of people. I think at one point.
Oh,
and we see that he very clearly gained some skills in the form of a cutscene. I just don't know why they couldn't translate that into a game itself. Well,
no, I mean this is what frustrates me. the reason in AC2 that they are even going through Ezio's life is to train Desmond. Like, there's no artifact they're looking for.
No, they're not looking for
it. The whole goal is we are trying to train you, Desmond. So, like, for people to go, well, if you expected Desmond to be the main character, then you just had some fan. It's like, no, we were just watching, we were just paying attention and, like, making inferences.
No, yeah, like, you see the character get better. You want to see that training come to fruition.
Well,
what's the point of... Imagine if, like, a Rocky movie happened that we didn't get to see Rocky ever get better enough to win.
Well, like, it's just like, why even do the IRL sections where we climb through San Paulo's, like, fucking defense sections? Like, what is the point of doing that if not to lead us to believe that we are going to eventually do, like, a modern section? It's the same thing with, like, why would you even do a section in Revelations where I'm climbing the Eiffel Tower during Nazi-occupied Paris if you were never intending on doing a World War II Assassin's Creed game? It's like, why are you gaslighting me?
Yeah, it feels... I don't want to say it. It would remind me of, like... I don't know, we just got the revelation that Harry Potter was, like, a... chosen, like, strong. We got the revelation that he was the one to beat Voldemort, and he's killed off before, like, any kind of... I'm trying to think of, like, movie comparisons to it, and that's what it reminds me of, like, immediately. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. I mean, it'd be like right after we get the reveal that yeah, like you said, we get the prophecy moment. Harry Potter is the chosen one. He is the one that's going to kill Voldemort. And then Harry fucking dies in the next one, and Hermione is the main character. And then people are like, wait, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, so you hate women now, is it? And it's like, no. No.
I just was told.
You just lied to me, is all.
You just gave me a hype aura moment with this guy, and now you're telling me, no, you never had any hype or aura.
Yeah, you're 19, like, there was no evidence of any hype aura with Harry Potter.
It's just, okay. All right.
I feel like you're lying to me.
I guess I dreamt it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And I tried to look it up. I found it very quickly with Lucy that, yeah, she just straight up asked for more money. But, and according to Nolan North, which I don't know if I agree with what he said is true, but what Nolan North said is that, and you might get a giggle out of this, he said that, the plan was for Desmond to get 6 games, which is almost how many he got. He got 1, 2 Brotherhood and Revelations. But he said he was going to get 6 games, and at the end of the 6th game, Desmond was going to be able to physically travel through time. Which is like, okay, I'm kind of glad that didn't. I'm glad that didn't happen. I'll admit, but like, you didn't have to do that dog shit. You could have done something else.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird to think like they're just like, no, I mean, it's either this or
or we gotta kill him and start again.
He's a time traveler or he's dead. I mean, come on, you guys.
No,
you get like time constraints happen, so they can't like rewrite everything. I also don't know how that was the process that happened creatively next, but.
Well, it's really funny. They're like, okay, well, we can't do he physically time travels. So what we will do is you are now a guy who works 9 to 5 in Abstergo and Abstergo 1. Because I'm sorry, if they're at the point where they're just making like games for fun, like we lost. The Assassins are fucked.
Yeah, and I guess this is where somebody, I guess, could rebuttal like. If it were like an argument, I don't think it's much of an argument, but they could say like, I guess this is where the Watchdog games come into play, which I don't think is fair to include them, but
I'm not going.
They're still loosely involved.
Yeah, this is what I'm not going to criticize the main narrative of Assassin's Creed in the same way I will not give them benefits. Like I should not be required to go outside of the game to understand or get your story. Supplemental material should add some fun little Easter eggs or add stuff on, but I should be able to fully understand your story from beginning to end without playing Watch Dogs. So in that same way, I'm not going to criticize Assassin's Creed if the error in Assassin's Creed occurred in Watch Dogs. You know, like if something was a plot hole in Watch Dogs, it wouldn't be an error in Assassin's Creed for me, I guess.
If it would have been cool to see like a whole tie-in between
there
the
is
series, but
and
I mean like a full collaboration between the
oh yeah, where you actually get to meet like Sean or Rebecca or one of the assassins.
Not like
not one where you basically are supposed to hack into an Abstergo employee and then you fail.
Yeah, and you have to extrapolate that you just fucked the entire world.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong on that. I just remember I haven't played Watch Dogs. I just remember the clip where it's like tail or like follow the Abstergo employee, and then like the canon ending is that he gets away.
Watch Dogs might be worth after, going through and play it. The first one that you probably got free on Epic.
I probably have it. Yeah, I'll actually have to check.
Because it was given out free. I don't know if they're worth playing. I mean, I played a little bit of the second one. It was fun, I guess, but that's besides the point.
Is it like stealth combat or no?
Yeah, a lot of it is very stealth focused. It's stealth hacker. You use your hacking abilities to disrupt enemies, and there's a lot of cool things you can do, and it can be played running gun as well if you wanted.
Okay, so you can shoot people.
Yeah, there's guns in it. There's lots of guns in it.
That's actually kind of frustrating to hear, because one of their main reasons for why they couldn't do a main story Assassin's Creed was because, we'd have to do guns.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate that because, you have IPs like John Wick that exist, and John Wick, I hate
the bulletproof suits, but yeah.
Yeah, the bulletproof suits are weird. But how cool would it have been to, kind of tie in that kind of style of fighting with Assassin's Creed? And I don't think it's, impossible to think Assassins would fight similarly to how they fight in John Wick.
Well, yeah, I mean, it also could just be... You're not heavily armored. You're not a commando. You're a guy who has a little blade whose whole job is to get in and get out quiet. So you can just make it to where, you can have a gun. It's like silenced weapons because you really don't want to get noticed because one fucking bullet wound is lethal. Like one gunshot that can kill you in this game. Make it like a Souls-like if you want. Like the modern sections are you just make the modern sections much harder than the previous sections because guns are fucking tough, dude. Like in this game, guns are just really difficult to deal with, and they're like muskets. So yeah, in these scenarios where I'm having to use like human shields to not take as much damage, this is not gonna work in a modern setting. I'm just gonna die. So I better engage those sentries first. Use a sleeping dart like we have in this game. I just accidentally screenshotted. But yeah, use the sleeping dart, or use some kind of poison, or use some seducing methods, or assassin shit is basically what I'm saying. Sneaky stuff.
Yeah, and
that's what people are after.
Aside from comparing it to John Wick, because maybe that's too combat oriented and they didn't like that taste. There's also like
James Bond,
games.
or Hitman, or like James Bond, yeah.
Splinter Cell,
Metal Gear Solid.
There's all these games. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. There's these games that literally make a habit of modern day stealth combat and stealth action gameplay that I don't think it takes away from any stealth elements that's modern day. I don't think Assassin's Creed could be hindered. Done in a good way, perfectly, I don't think anything about Assassin's Creed is hindered in the modern setting.
Well, yeah, if anything, it's a boon. Because, you can tell they have a little bit of insecurity in AC3, because when you fight Cross, he says something like, why are you still running around with dinky little knives? It's the 21st century. And then you fucking stab him. Yeah. Because his gun is jammed, or you, ran out of ammo or whatever. And this is it's kind of like it shows their insecurity, but also it shows like their misunderstanding. And like in a world where most people are used to watching out for armed gunmen, having a blade that ejects out of your wrist that is super silent is a beneficial and like dangerous weapon. Like, can you imagine? Like, okay, if assassins were real and they wanted to kill Donald Trump, based on what we saw, they would have been able to do it.
Yeah.
Like, if a kid can get on that roof that close, you know, you can get a person pretty close in a crowd with a knife.
Yeah.
Go to shake his hand. Like, that's there's opportunities for that. I don't know. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am not.
I guess there is. I never. There is that hesitancy, since they claim that they prefer historical accuracy. There's that hesitancy from being too. They don't want to tell a story that's too divisive to their audience, I guess. Like, I guess we brought it up before. Like, how would you make a modern day Templar? Do we make Donald Trump as a Templar or something? How you reference historical figures and these real life politicians who may or may not still exist in the time period that you're choosing.
Well, yeah, it's also the same thing we did with like World War II. Like, how do you do World War II when you have already done Abstergo as the Templars? You gonna make Hitler a Templar? You're gonna make it to where Ubisoft and it just because now you made it kind of the inside haha joke that Abstergo is basically Ubisoft because they're the ones making the games.
Yeah, now they're associated with Hitler.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that
I do think they kind of. That's where I will say. I mean, I love the historical delves in Assassin's Creed, but thinking about it now, it does feel like that's what's constrained them a lot.
Well, it's rather than because there was a time where they were not shy from controversy. When they made AC1, that was a pretty controversial game.
Yeah, I guess.
It was covering the Crusades.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. It's really weird that there's a lot. They're choosing a lot of time periods that are up to interpretation.
God damn it! This is tough.
And I see that.
Get my ass whooped. Oh, I forgot to show you Discord. My bad.
No, I'm watching the stream anyway. It's weird that there's. I don't know. I guess yeah. They just wrote themselves into a corner, choosing. These choosing these historical situations and the Templars in general. I don't know. Well, what I'm trying to say is the way Templars are set up, it makes it, like we said, so awkward to include them into modern day.
Well, what went from a tongue-in-cheek, haha, we're the bad guys because, they're making the games and we're making the games, is now turned into, almost, well, now they don't want to do anything too controversial. Yeah. But, I mean, that's all, what the hell? I just distracted you. Okay.
You cheat on luck.
You were about to see on the stream. I hire the ladies to distract them. I walk past them. They aggro me.
Oh yeah, right.
What the fuck, brother?
They're beating up the fucking ladies. What's happening?
Justice.
Well.
But I mean, that's all conjecture. The main thing, because we could assume one reason or another why they won't do that. What they have said is they're not going to do World War II, mainly because they don't want to turn it into Call of Duty, which I just think is a cop out. I think the actual reason is you want to avoid trying to retell the Holocaust in your usual Assassin Templar way, it's just.
And to be fair, I mean, thinking about it from my perspective, that would be tough to write. I wouldn't even begin to understand how I write that successfully.
I mean, I would probably just make it to where World War II isn't something we need to cover because we have enough. It's recent enough. Wait, what the fuck? But yeah, like I would just do something where like we don't have to do something that's basically recent history. We're going back to times like before we were really recording things, and so it'd be like if someone were like, "Why aren't we going to World War II?" The easy answer would go, "They don't need to. They have all the information they would need." Until something new comes up, where like this artifact they need is the last time we saw it was in World War II, but a lot of these artifacts, the last time we saw it was in 1492. So like that's why they're going back, and that would be my because I agree, probably not an easy subject. The part that frustrates me is like you've seen in this like kind of lore documents, they reference World War II as being important lore events. That's Sample Zero and Sample One's memories. Then you have like what was it? In Revelations, you have just the section where we're climbing the Eiffel Tower during Nazi-occupied World War II. It's like, what are you doing to me? Like, why? Like, I wouldn't have this frustration if you would just stop fucking lying to me.
I think we proposed the idea before. It's like, if you're gonna do World War II, you'd have to make like Hitler some uninvolved party with both the assassins and the Templars.
You'd have to make it where he starts off a Templar and they're the people that get him in power, or like one corrupted member gets him in power, but then he takes it way too far because what they want is control, and what he wants is like, you know, his version of control, which, you know, cuts them out of the deal essentially. Like you would have to do something like that where like and then you would also have to do something like the person who got him into it or involved him into it is like hated by the rest of the Templars. Like he gets kicked out, and then like, you know, if you really want to play it safe, you have the assassins and Templars like team up.
Yeah, like they're both completing similar objectives against Hitler, basically.
Yeah, like you have moments where like one of your main antagonists before you run into an area and like you're about to fight, and it's like, well, what are you doing here? Well, I'm trying to kill this guy. Well, I'm trying to kill his...
you're both trying to kill the same target,
Yeah. And, like, that could even be a conflict where... That could be fun, actually. This whole time, Hitler was on neither side, but both sides assume he's on the other because every time they run into each other, they're both trying to do the same thing. But they see a Templar, they're gonna, you know, fight. Oh. Die, please. I don't have time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, it can be done. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's like one of those things where you don't want to put yourself in that kind of position.
And I think we've said repeatedly, no one would fault you except for the fact that you were like, hey, World War II though.
Yeah, you guys have teased it yourselves. It's not like we're not asking for it. You told us it's here.
Yeah, we're not schizos. And, like, then we're being treated like, well, what a bunch of fucking schizos. Where'd you get that idea?
Did you want us to pay attention to your story or not? Because paying attention to your story tells me this would be the next logical step.
No, cool. It was just a cool visual. Jeez. Oh, okay. That's disappointing.
I enjoy set pieces as well, but I hope you know, like, you just potential manned me.
Well, yeah, you know, set pieces mean a lot more when like I can derive something from them. Yeah, when like I derive meaning.
Yeah, instead, I'm told this stuff doesn't actually, it's not applicable, I guess.
Well, like,
that's great.
Like, not only is it not applicable, but I'm the problem for expecting it. Like, because like they said in multiple press releases, like we feel like the quality wasn't bad. It was we didn't align with consumer expectations, which is their polite corporate speak of saying we made a good game. You guys are just dumb.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so much potential here. I'm looking at fucking Megumi. I'm seeing Mr. Potential Man. And, you know, it's just being fumbled again.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how many, like, people wish they came up with a concept of Assassin's Creed? Here they have basically a cheat code to, in narrative, go to any time period, any location in the world, do different... Like, the idea that they're complaining, well, we might have to do a different type of game... like
Yeah.
as if that's not like a super like W. Like,
Yeah.
like any other company goes like, wait, do you mean in one game in one Assassin's Creed game we could make it a stealth game, and the next game we make it a Call of Duty, and we still get to call it Assassin's Creed?
I think what you just said there is like key because it like highlights the Ubisoft mentality, right? Like they have been. This is like a notorious Ubisoft thing. They have been notoriously stuck in their ways of doing the same thing in all their sequel games. Like the Far Cry games are all the same thing. The new Avatar game that came out, a lot of people even forget that came out. It's literally just Far Cry reskinned into
Of course it is.
James Cameron. Yeah, James Cameron's Avatar. With, just a little bit more flavor, but still those empty maps that don't do anything, the pointless clear the outpost levels, the state samey kind of stealth combat. It's really weird how Ubisoft is a company that chooses to keep doing, and it's so funny, right? Because they coined Voss, literally one of the best villains in video game. They coined, do you know the definition of insanity in gaming? And they are like one of the biggest
Proponents of it,
that
yeah.
culture.
Well, and like what's even funnier is if it was like, okay, they stick to their same thing, but as long as it works, it's fine, right? It's like, yeah, I get that. If only they did that with like when it worked. Like, because here's the thing, they make a really good concept like Assassin's Creed, where they can basically do whatever they want, and then they get fucking like insecure about it, and then they're like, oh god, I just jumped to my death. And then they get insecure about it, and they go like, we gotta modernize it. We can't just keep making the same game over and over. So now we will now, from the ground up, despite not really having a whole lot of experience in this format, but because we notice other games successful with that format, we are now going to make an RPG game, because that's what you wanted in your stealth game, a leveling system where you're required to kill enough enemies to get stronger so that you can do more damage. You don't want to do a highly lethal, practiced, careful strike that basically no matter who you are, no matter what armor, no matter how strong you are, I got you when you weren't aware, and so you die. Like, that's what people are after in their Assassin's Creed. And you go, no. We will now do that. And it's just like, yeah, like you were saying, like they're weirdly stuck in their ways, but also when they find a formula that works, they get insecure about it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, I mean, it's no secret. Part of this is due to the fact that you can actually monetize an RPG game to this disgusting level of efficiency. Like, the store in Valhalla is diabolical.
Well, this is gonna like shock you because it shocked me when I learned. Do you know what the number 2 most profitable Assassin's Creed game of all time is?
Is it Odyssey?
It's Odyssey.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, that is the real reason why they keep doing a format they have no experience in.
Yeah, you almost can't blame them because like we're all saying this is dog shit. We hate this, and then they're like, why do you keep buying it then?
Yeah.
Explain that one, Batman.
Numbers, you love it.
Explain that one, Batman. I can't hear you over all this money. And like, I can't, like, what am I supposed to do? Say they're wrong? They're not. They can't. We have to speak with our wallets. If you don't like the system of game, we have to encourage people to not fucking buy it. But they won't. The cowards. Yeah. Oh, please.
And there's always going to be, like, the impatient person. There's going to be the whale. There's going to be all kinds of people who they want the shortcuts, and that's fine. They are allowed to do what they want with their money, but they should also. I mean, they probably don't care about the integrity of the game, but
stuff like that always makes me laugh. I think they think that's a great selling point. Like, hey, our game is so great. Come spend money on our game, and you can play less of it.
Yeah.
Is it, like, imagine, like, I'm playing WoW Classic right now for people that don't know, and one of the things that I've noticed is that most of the gameplay that I'm going to take away from it is going to be the leveling. I'm probably not going to raid a whole lot. I'm going to raid a couple of dungeons a couple of times, and then I'm going to wait for the next thing to come out. What I'm enjoying right now about the gameplay is the leveling. So the concept of like, can you imagine how much less WoW I would play if I spent the extra like probably $50 to just buy a level 60 DPS warrior account?
Yeah.
I'd already be done. I would have learned I would have learned the 3 or 4 raids. We would have run it until we were tired of it, and then I'd be done playing WoW. Is that what you want for your game? Is that you want people to come in, pay money to play less of your game and not experience the joy and the dopamine rush of gaining the extra skills? Like, that's my favorite thing about AC4 right now is I'm getting money by looting ships and doing pirate shit to level up and make my boat more powerful so that I can take on more and more powerful ships. Shit's fun.
Yeah. No, yeah, that slow, not even slow, just natural progression grind is that's what gets a lot of people, and some people just want the end game content. And I've been there. I played a lot of RPG games, and sometimes I just want to get to the end game. So like I'm playing Warframe a lot right now, and I'm not boosting or anything. I don't think it's possible.
Are you playing the 1999 stuff?
I have to beat the base game to get to the 1999 apparently. But a lot of Warframe is like you got to do everything slowly and grind up as much as you can. And sometimes I'm thinking, man, I want to do the big damage numbers that I see people do in the funny YouTube video thumbnail, but I have to wait to get there. And sometimes that's just more satisfying for people. Monster Hunter's the same way. You can't just go directly into high rank quests. You have to start low rank and learn monster patterns. Even with the best weapons, you're not gonna fucking beat a monster all the time.
And like maybe it's just like maybe I'm just like an old head, but I actually like the concept of starting off small, getting stronger, and leveling up. The only thing I don't like is when a game starts me off strong and then takes it away from me. And AC does that to you a couple of times. Yeah. Like in the original game, you start off as Altair as this big badass, and then Brotherhood, you start off like it's a direct sequel to AC2, so you have like the best gear that you can get in AC2, like $5,400, like $54,000, like maxed villa and everything, and then they bomb the villa in like one of the first missions, and you lose everything. Shit sucks. I hate that. But I love the concept of starting off weak, gaining things one at a time. And I'm not even against the RPG process of like, I have a skill point. I have to choose between 3 different things to put these points into. And in this way, I make a build or make my own playthrough unique. But I'm not against that in concept, but it just depends on what I'm after. When I'm playing an Assassin's Creed game, what I want to be rewarded is like patience and observing like like enemy patrols and just basically trying to be stealthy, perceptive and
It's weird you mentioned that's another thing is that Assassin's Creed has been built on that exact thing that you're talking about, and they've shifted from that and expect people to be like, oh, okay, this is how Assassin's Creed is now. I have to play as Ivor or Alexios. I think that's his name in fucking
Alexios,
Odyssey. Yeah.
Or
I have to
Cassandra.
play as that, and I have to see, or Cassandra, and I have to just charge in with damage numbers. There's not really a stealthy approach to it. There's, is my gear at the appropriate gear level so I can take on this? Is my build effective enough?
Well, yeah, and like this is like I've said this before. Like I think if you called Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like if you called it like I think if you were even more tongue in cheek with it, with Abstergo Entertainment presents Odyssey.
Yeah.
But it wasn't called Assassin's Creed
Odyssey or something.
Yeah. It was like basically something like it was set in the universe of Assassin's Creed, but this is not an Assassin's Creed game. Like we call it Odyssey. I think you do that, and most of my criticisms go away, which is funny enough because they're like, really, a name change takes away most of your criticisms. And I'm like, well, depending on the name, yeah. If I boot up Halo, and I start playing Metal Gear Solid, it might be a great Metal Gear Solid game, but I came here to play fucking. I didn't come here to play Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, and I think like you see that with like Halo ODST that comes out. You get the idea of what kind of character you're gonna be playing. Well, it introduces it to you very quickly how different it is to be an ODST to be from being Master Chief.
That was a collat right there, buddy.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom. I don't know. It's weird that they, I don't know, kind of changed expectations to like, it almost feels like the exact polar opposite of what Assassin's Creed was. They changed it to like, like, if you were ever play an Assassin's Creed game, an action RPG is the very last thing you'd ever expect.
Well, yeah, like, again, a lot of these games, other than, and I'm really interested in, based on what you said about Valhalla, but, like, a lot of these games I'm not calling bad. It's one of the main reasons I'm doing more of a narrative thing, because I would even be into the conversation of, these games were never particularly, like, great mechanically in the first place, but that was never why I was playing. Like, basically through every game, I've been able to cheese things, and, sometimes I've been cheesed by certain, like, fucked up mechanics or bugs. And, yeah, a lot of it can just be, like, based on how good the NPCs are in this game really dictates how seriously you're going to take the stealth. In certain games where it's really bad or they're really unaware, yeah, I'm not, you've seen me play some of these games. And AC1, which everyone touts is like, oh, you had to be stealthy in that game. How many times did I just run in, go onto a roof, and throw everybody off the roof and instantly beat the mission?
Yeah, like, they're not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. It's not like this whole... It's not a perfect formula, it's not a perfect game. I don't know. I just feel like...
What we were always after was an experience, and when you take away that experience, we're no longer... Now all the other, like, issues start to get a lot more noticed. Like, if people want to say the story in AC 1 or 2 was never really that great, so blah, 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 which I would still argue is a whataboutism. Because you saying this thing isn't good, so this thing is good, that's not how it works. But, like, oh god, I'm getting fucked up. But, like, the thing is, people were never really into the Assassin's Creed games purely for the mechanics or purely for the story or like what they wanted was, hopefully a combination of these things that culminate in an experience that lets them feel like a badass, stealthy assassin. And when you take that away from them, well, now they start just looking at it like a game. The veil is lifted.
Yeah, and then you get all the buggy jankiness of these unpolished. I'm not gonna be that mean and say unpolished, but just the jankiness of the game that's left.
Yeah, and then people start looking closer at the story because it's like, okay, well, if the narrative is getting, what would you say? Like, if the narrative is getting lessened in order to, increase
you gotta look at the game. It's so funny you bring that up. Like, the narrative of Assassin's Creed 1 is, it's really interesting, really good. Gameplay's on the lower end. They try medium out it, or try to, like, neutralize and try and make it equalize it in the second and Brotherhood and Revelations. And then in the third one, they say to hell with the story and then up the ante on the gameplay, as if noticing that the subpar story will make people to chime in on the gameplay more.
Well, yeah, like, I think what they noticed is, like, with AC1, they made a really simplistic story, but it was still kind of like, yeah, it was alright, it was fine. And the gameplay was kind of whatever, but the parkour is what carried it. Like, I think the issue is that Ubisoft was getting away with, but X thing carried it for so long, and then they kept getting rid of those things. So in AC1, it was like, the story is pretty simplistic, the gameplay is not that great, but the parkour carries it. In AC2, it's like, well, the parkour is fucking great, the combat's pretty bad, the story is like, it's a classic revenge story, but boy, the fucking this movement and some of the cool moments where you fist fight the Pope, that shit carries it. Brotherhood. I really don't like, this X Factor or this thing, but I really like the, call in your assassins and level them up and make them better and train them. And that and they kept doing that until they slowly got rid of all the things people really liked. And, like, that's the problem. Like, you can have a subpar story. You can even have, like, not the greatest world building, even though I, perfectly enjoy it. But when you take away things that were just aiding people's experience, like, why did people like the fact that they could call on their assassin brotherhood to kill their enemies? Well, it made them feel not only like an assassin, but now like an assassin leader who was respected and had like standing in the in the assassin community or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like Ezio is being called mentor. He can now train assassins and get them to come on him, Jesus.
Cool.
Or get them to come to him or do an order at a whim, and that that made you feel like I guess how Ezio felt like responsible for these guys because they can die if you put them in a bad situation, and yeah, it makes you feel hopefully the intended feeling. This is not where I'm supposed to go, but. The intended feeling started to be antithetical to what people were coming to Assassin's Creed to play. Like, you came into Brotherhood expecting what? Brotherhood, to play more with the Assassin, Creed. You come to Revelations to probably get some more story beats, which you do get, and improvement on the combat and the parkour. You come to 3. I don't even like the ending of 3, but I'll say, look, if Assassin's Creed ended with 3, I think I'm fine with that. Desmond died a hero, like legitimately a hero, to save the world, and he was told outright, "If you do nothing, you will survive and be praised like a god." And Desmond goes, "Yeah, but that's not good enough. I want because tens of billions of people will die for that future to come about, and that's still no solution. At least this way, we'll maybe find one." He dies a hero. If AC3 ends that way, I'm fine with it. The problem, again, comes to... Alright, we don't like the narrative thing, but, like, I hate the fact that Desmond dies. Why is Black Flag my favorite game? Oh, well, because the narrative, even though I may not like not playing Desmond anymore, they really nail the concept of you are playing this fish out of water 9-to-5 character who's being threatened by the IT guy to hack into your boss's shit. But for the most part, you're just having a good time doing your job, playing in the Animus, playing as Edward. You don't really understand a lot of this, like, shit. You should upgrade the Jackdaw before starting this mission. Oh, shit. That's scary. Fucking... What's the sweating Pepe?
Yeah, Monka S.
Yeah, that's... okay. Let's upgrade the Jackdaw.
Yeah. I mean, I think 3-4 is also aided by its gameplay's really good.
Oh yeah, it's just fun to play. It's just fucking the combat's fun. The naval combat's fun. The overland combat's fun. The parkour's fun. I would even say I'm pretty fond of the story. Yeah, and the main thing is it sells the experience. I come into Black Flag for 2 things. I want to be a fucking pirate. And I want to be a sneaky little snake rat assassin.
It makes the pirate experience it's very faithful to the pirate experience.
And then you just keep going down the line, and this is people like Unity. People hated Unity at the time, but people have come to like Unity now more. And you just keep going. All right, well, people like that. People like Rogue and Syndicate. Where do people really, even though the money doesn't necessarily dry up, where do people really start to fall off in terms of enjoyment of the series? Right around Origins. Right around when they fundamentally rework the fucking
the entire game.
Yeah. Like everything. Like now, this is the thing. I have Origins and I tried to play it, and you know how much I like Assassin's Creed. So
yeah.
I boot up Origins, right? I try to assassinate a guy who's like level 10 because I'm like, yeah, whatever, the level doesn't matter. It's Assassin's Creed. They're still gonna like let me kill him, surely. when I jump down and do an air assassinate on this guy, and he has half of his health bar, and my face, like, you know the Elmo meme where it's like,
Yeah, where he's just looking, shaking.
and I'm just like, wait, this is Sekiro? I just broke his posture. What? And I turn the game off. It'll be really funny after Syndicate. It's gonna be Origins. I'm gonna play Origins, and I'm gonna show you that moment where because I'm gonna do the whole meme of like, well, it's just another Assassin's Creed game. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and just do it. What do you mean? What do you mean? What?
That's true.
Huh?
And the thing is, I would be more forgiving if that this new adaptation of gameplay yielded for a better game, but it doesn't do the action RPG format good either. And that's the main thing for me. I don't think it does that well.
Well, yeah, like it's just like it reminds me of like I think the gameplay in the original God of War games is like it's probably better, quote unquote, but it really depends on what you're after. Like I'm not playing the OG God of War games for the same reasons that I would play the new God of War games. But to compare them, I would generally say, yeah, the gameplay was changed radically from the ground up, but it was in aid of one, making a narrative that supported the justification for why the gameplay has been changed, and actually making a good game. Like I will actually say, I think even though it's different from what we're used to, the gameplay in like God of War 2018 is fucking good. It's fun combat.
I know some. Yeah, I don't mean this as like to knock the old games, but I prefer how the new games play than how the old games played. I played the old games, and this is me. I wasn't a fan of games, so this is just personal bias. I'll very much claim that. I wasn't a fan of games like Ninja Gaiden, Dante's Inferno, fucking Devil May Cry has flair to it, so I allow it a little bit more. But I'm not a huge fan of that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that style of game, and I'm glad. I feel like God of War 2018 brought that old style while still reinterpreting it into something new that felt good to play.
I think it was one of those systems I felt like it was built understanding old God of War fans might not like this, so let's still give you the same power. This is what we're talking about, the same experience, the same power fantasy of like, people still, what do they ultimately want from God of War that they got? They felt like a powerful, badass, angry, vengeful god. Okay, we're not playing an angry, vengeful monster god anymore though. We're playing a more thoughtful, careful God of War Kratos, who's also trying to protect his son. And so we'll make the gameplay more reflective of that. We're playing a slower Kratos, but still one that's capable of fucking people up. And
yeah, have you seen how the really good God of War players play?
Oh yeah,
there's some crazy fucking shit you can do.
Yeah, I've seen people juggle the fuck out of Baldur. Like, for people that says like juggling doesn't exist anymore in God of War, just wrong. Straight up. I've seen bosses. I've seen Thor and Odin get fucking juggled. Like I've seen Heimdall get abused by now.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I do think sometimes if anybody, I don't know about this as strawman we're making up sometimes that
Oh, there are definitely people. I think it's a common criticism to say that the narrative got better, but people are like, I like the gameplay of the old games more. I like the narrative of the new games more. Like I've heard that opinion enough to say I don't think this is a straw man. What we're saying.
Okay.
We're just addressing the people that may or may not have this opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what they've done now is better. Yeah. Personally. And I don't think that's a crazy take. And I think some people who might say the old ones are better, I feel like they would resonate very well with the creator of the old ones, where he says he misses the entire point of God of War.
Oh yeah, didn't the creator of the OG God of War say like Kratos should never change? He should always be a crazy
Yeah,
rampaging
they don't
monster?
like how he's like.
Which I just like fundamentally
disagree.
disagree. I just fundamentally disagree with that in every way. For me, it just seems like such a rage. Like, you know when someone like hate watches and they're always
Yeah.
gonna criticize no matter what. That's just what that read to me. It's like there's no way you take away Kratos is like a pussy from those games because let's be real. If that man walked up on you in a fucking alleyway, you would be pissing yourself.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that just sidetracked a little bit on this, but because that guy is such a fucking idiot. I genuinely, I've never
A synthetic
disagreed.
man.
Yeah, I've never disagreed with with the creator of his work so vehemently. Like, it's crazy to me that you created Kratos and you don't see his development as a good thing.
Well, and like the crazy thing is, it's like this isn't something that started in 2018. This is just finishing the arc that was started, and fucking, literally at the end of God of War 3, they have Kratos stabbing himself with the blade of Olympus in order to release hope back into the world. It was pretty fucking clear what he was going for. Hey man,
It's making me think that he like. I'm really curious what his God of War or God of 18 would have looked like.
Oh, dude, like, his original plan, I don't know if you know this, his original plan was to go to Egypt, and then it was to go to the Nordic, and then eventually the Egypt mythologies, and then he was going to find the Kratoses of those mythologies, and they were going to travel to the Abrahamic religion and be the three wise men.
What the fuck?
Dude, that's real. That's canon. Well, that's not canon, but that was like that was the idea. That was the pitch. Is that all three Kratoses would be the three wise men that showed up to Jesus.
That's insane.
That is insane.
I'm for bad time that we avoided.
And here's the thing. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think you could do something where that's kind of interesting, but if what you're telling me is like, no, this idea where Kratos, finds a new wife and, slowly develops and creates a son, and then he loses that wife, and, he really struggles with, not falling into his old ways of vengeance and destruction, and the guilt he has for destroying an entire pantheon. That all sucks dick. See, he was gonna be the wise man for Jesus.
Talk to Jesus.
It's like, yeah, I don't feel like you get to criticize, like, at least theirs has something to say, I think, that's, like, actually pretty, other than, like, I guess, yeah, that's cool, they're the three wise men, like, I'm not taking anything thematically out of that, whereas, like, Kratos has an arc where he is remorseful for the mistakes he's made, and, like, attempts to make amends, and does, and makes the world better, and, like, helps his son. Like, I feel like I'm almost like hitting at low hanging fruit by listing the positives of everything that happens in God of War 2018. But like, I don't know, just go play those games. Like, I don't know, if you're someone who just goes, no, he needs to be a violent rampaging monster all the time. I don't know, man. God of War 1 and 2 are still there. You could just go play those games. But like, we kind of like our characters growing and changing over time. So I'm a fan of that personally. Brave take.
Yeah, I know. Character development. That's controversial.
Which, like, you'll notice when people say, well, Desmond has no character development, my answer is, well, that's not important. Who cares? My answer is like, no, that's not true, because that is important to me. If the criticism that Desmond doesn't have any character development was valid, I could understand. I would understand killing him, but I'd say, like, just develop the fucking character. You don't have to shoot him.
Yeah. It is super weird that yeah, we already discussed. That's the weirdest decision I've seen in the game. That's so much wasted potential.
Hey, like I said, we get to play games with Layla. Remember? Where's this boat supposed to be?
I'm sure, from what I hear, it's looking dire with her, but.
Well, she's Can I spoil Valhalla for you, or?
Yeah, that's that maybe would give a shit since they're not on that part. I don't.
I mean, I'm okay with spoiling it just slightly for you. Obviously, you know Layla's not the main character in Mirage.
I haven't gotten to Mirage, but that doesn't get knowing that.
Okay, so without fully, maybe the ship only appears at night or something. I just need to get like money for my shit. But let's go to this fort, I guess. And what we fast travel here. Nice. Shit. But sorry. Fuck. What was I saying? I'm sorry.
You're about Mirage.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I accidentally locked on this Animus fragment. How do I phrase this? Basically, yeah. No, I'll go ahead and spoil it just a little bit. And for people who don't want spoilers, like mute for like 15 seconds. So Layla ends up doing basically the exact same sacrifice as Desmond, where she places her hand on the globe from AC3, but in a different location, and saves the world from a solar flare, just like Desmond. And then she goes into a big machine with Desmond, where they start running the calculations. And that's why I meant like Valhalla kind of canonizes the possibility of alternate universes being relevant, because now they're going through alternate universes to try to see if there's any answers they can apply to their timeline. And the new main character is now a guy named Basim, who you meet in Valhalla, who got basically stuck in this little Yggdrasil thing and tricked Lydia to getting here so that he can basically take her place. Like, she gets hooked up onto it, and remember the staff from Odyssey that makes you immortal? Well, after he falls out of the Yggdrasil thing, he would normally die of old age, but he's able to grab the staff, and it keeps him alive. So, all of the IRL Odyssey could be boiled down to, we needed Basim to get a staff so that he wouldn't die of old age when we disconnected him. So that's all of Odyssey. It's just you playing through it so you can find that place so that the main character from Odyssey can give you Pythagoras' staff. Which, again, the main character from Odyssey being alive this whole time just shatters the world building, as we'll discuss. Because we're already getting to, like, pretty gigantic events have happened where now Abstergo is basically the dominant force of the world because they got a head start on information that our assassins didn't have. Only to find out that Cassandra or Alexios existed this whole time with knowledge that predated the Templars. Like they've been fighting the Templars since before they were called the Templars, since they were still called the Cult of Cult of Apophis. So like it just, that's what I mean by it shadows world building. But yeah, he ends up giving you, or he or she ends up giving you Pythagoras' staff as Lydia. Then in Valhalla, you travel to the location where he is in order for him to basically trick you into touching the thing, and then boom, you now get sucked up into the Freddy Fazbear's thing, and you drop the staff. Basim gets detached from it, and he's able to grab the staff, and now Basim's the main character.
All right.
Isn't that great? Isn't that cool? That's what Desmond died for, by the way.
So what were we saying before? That it would have been okay if Desmond didn't die for abject filth to come in this place. Not like filth like the character, but like the story wise.
Yeah, like now Desmond died so that we could have Lydia, so Lydia could die so we could have Basim. So this is a funny thing. The criticism just keeps getting pushed back. Well, I can't actually judge Desmond's death fully until I see what they did with what they do with Basim. Because like now Basim has been killed so that Lydia can be killed, so that Basim can be the main character, also so that Lydia and Desmond can be in the calculation space to find out how they're going to solve the perpetual issue of the sun hates us and wants us to die.
That's actually so great. That's a complex plot that they're trying to create.
They did all this to avoid, well, we can't have Desmond running around with guns. That's too hard. Yeah, so they did all this instead. Listen, we didn't want to figure out how to make a submarine, so we invented time travel, and now we made it to where oceans don't exist anymore.
Man, that reminds the Patrick meme where he's holding up SpongeBob. You look at it.
I want you to look at it.
Don't look at him. I guess they just don't want to look.
For some reason it seems like they're embarrassed of the character that gave them AC2.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know why they feel such. I want to say it's shame. Yeah, I want to say it's shame and embarrassment because just the way he's treated Dev, it just doesn't make sense, and what's following him just doesn't make sense. His successors are just. The writing teams are just. I know. Made by like it was like a co-company that's.
Oh, you're cutting out real bad for me, but I don't know if that's just my end.
Oh, can you hear?
I can hear you, but it is kind of roboting a little bit.
Oh fuck! It's doing that thing again.
I don't know if it's on my end or yours. I have no
I got no clue. We don't have.
I know we don't have a third party.
Oh fuck! If I'm still robot,
it's probably me because I'm streaming and everything.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Sorry, bro body. Right. If I'm still robot-y, beep boop boop bop.
But no, yeah, just go. Yeah, I mean, you sound a lot better now. That's weird. But yeah, just keep going.
What was I saying? I completely forgot.
You were saying that it might be a dual company reasoning, like.
Oh yeah. I know Valhalla was made. I think was made by a different company than, like I think I think a different company took over when they did those.
I didn't know that. It wasn't like Ubisoft Montreal.
You know, the thing to do is just check the page. Then Valhalla was created by it was the Ubisoft Montreal.
I was about to say that's the usual team.
Assassins, because I could have swore it was mentioned that they were made by Ubisoft Montreal for Origins, Mirage. Oh, Mirage is made by Ubisoft Bordeaux.
Really?
Yeah. Black Flag.
I think
Black Flag, Ubisoft Montreal.
Yeah.
Unity is just Ubisoft, is who we have listed.
Yeah, sometimes they're just general.
Assassin's Creed 2 is Ubisoft Montreal.
Yep. All the best games are made by Montreal.
Oh, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is Ubisoft Quebec.
Really? So I like Syndicate, so what else has Quebec made?
That's a good question. Let me go back to Syndicate. That's it. Just Syndicate and all the, as far as Steam goes, it's all the DLCs for Syndicate.
Who made Liberation? Because I didn't think Liberation was very good.
Let's see. Liberation. Freedom Cry. Where Liberation? Doesn't. There it is. Liberation is made by Ubisoft Sofia. It's another different Ubisoft.
Yeah, I didn't think that game was very good. I played through that in a single stream, and the narrative was very weak. I'll say that. I don't know if I actually told you about what happened on that one. So remember at the end of AC1 where Altair fights El Mualim, and El Mualim is like casting those illusions and shit.
Yeah.
So they do that at the end of AC Liberation, like word for word, like bar for bar.
Oh.
And it's not done well. Like El Mualim, they kind of hint at like El Mualim's kind of being a little bit sus. Agate basically just randomly blows up on you out of nowhere, and so he must die.
That's all right.
And you're like, And you're like, well, wait, but how did he do the illusions? Did he have an Eye of Eden? Nah, he's really good with poisons.
This is interesting. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a collaborative effort between 17 studios around the world.
Wow. I guess we got to share the blame.
Studios. Maybe they do that on. They had 8 for Assassin's Creed Black Flag, so they had double the amount. That's
Crazy.
interesting.
So it's double as good, right?
Go out, brother. They don't have the exact number, but they know Real was the main contributor to all of the content. It seems the more split they get, imagine that, the more jumbled up your identity becomes. Origins. I'm gonna check all this eventually. Odyssey was made by 14 co-development studios. That's interesting.
Jeez. You know, we're being pretty harsh on Origins, and I think it's because they changed the formula. But I think once we, like, the funny thing is, everything I've heard narratively, like, about Bayek as a character, I think you'll like it. And I can send to Kenway's Fleet, even though, like, Kenway's Fleet doesn't work. It's funny.
I did try Origins. Yeah, I tried Origins out very quickly. But I don't know. Just that RPG stuff, I don't fuck with it.
Oh, yeah. That's, the funny thing is, I think narratively, I'm fully willing to go, oh, yeah, I feel bad for him, because I like Bayek as a main character. I think his whole tragedy is really interesting. Though, where you lose me is just like, but the fucking... I can't one-shot a guy when I stealthily approach it and assassinate him.
Oh, this is interesting. So, CD Projekt Red for The Witcher, and Cyber 77. They are a company that has around 400 to 500 employees. For Odyssey itself, 800 people worked on that game.
Jesus Christ.
That's really interesting stats.
It's almost a little embarrassing, you know what I mean? Like, you had that many people, and like, I understand that a lot of this isn't like, what are you going to do if you're a random art director guy? You're going to make the guy look as good as possible, you did your job, but like, you have all these resources, all these assets, all this money, and it just goes to show you that it's not about the money, it's about the passion. Like,
right.
Money does not buy talent. Money buys time. So if you have enough money to wait for your payout and give your writers the time they need to create something good, I think we've said it before. AC1 has so much infinite, or AC just as a franchise has so much infinite possibilities that a good writer would make some fucking gas with this. But unfortunately, that's not where we are.
Yeah.
I'm really scared that they tell me I need to upgrade my ship, but I'm like desperately, like, I'm pretty upgraded, unless I'm like really going through the story too fast. Where am I? Hold on, let's look.
I'm gonna head to bed.
Okay.
It's 4:30.
Oh my god, it's that late already? Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed as well.
Yeah, we have to bed.
Alright, well, I'm just gonna
I found this